Tevita and Ana, fourth episode of Leaders Lead podcast presented by Salt. By the way, Salt is yours, huh?
That's right.
Your business.
Yes, it is.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, Bulate. Well, yeah, podcast episode 4. Yeah, just wonderful to be back again in the studio with you. Salt, yes, is my business. It's a development consultancy business, registered in 2009. And we've diversified from just doing consultancy services, which we offered to development organizations like UNDP, SPC, and then we diversified and started to do leadership and personal development work in 2017, as I talked about in the last episode. Yeah, but Salt is a business that's been in operation since 2009. And, you know, part of the journey of navigating failure has been navigating failure in terms of running a business and trying to kind of work through what does that even look like in terms of running a business. And that's been a lot of learning for me. So we would be, I think, 16 years old now as a business. And the adversity that we've been through as a business, if anything, I think speaks to what we're talking about today, which has really created a lot of resilience. It brought about a lot of maturity in how we do the work that we do. And it's helped us evolve to be the organization that we are today.
You're not really talking about leadership. You are a leader in your own right and in your own business. And today's topic, we're talking about making failure your best friend. How long has it taken for you to understand that having failure as your best friend is beneficial for your growth, not only for yourself, self-discovery, self-growth, for your business as well?
How long has it taken?
How long has it taken you to realize that
it's
the power that it has?
Yeah, it's taken me all these years to really lean into failure and then start to use it as a stepping stone for the growth of the business and my growth as an individual. But that all started when I became a student of leadership and when I signed up to join the Maxwell Leadership Certified team, when I became part of a community of leaders who are committed to growing themselves in order that they may grow others. So the learning to embrace failure and the learning the lessons through failure only came after my awareness was shifted when I became a student of leadership and when I embraced personal growth and development, to start to see that failure is actually a friend and it's come to teach me something, and therefore I need to be able to embrace the lessons that it's teaching me and lean into it.
So as a leader, making failure your best friend is a concept that people are trying really hard to get used to. As someone that is doing the development, consultant, teachings and leadership trainings in this country, do you think that it's harder for people to accept this particular concept as something that will aid in their growth and also in their leadership?
Yes, but I don't know whether it's just in this country. I think it's worldwide.
It's a global thing.
It's a global thing, and it's a human thing in terms of how we see ourselves and how we think the world sees us. You know, so these ways of seeing failure as seeing ourselves as a failure is a human mindset, and it's based on, you know, how we were raised, the narratives that we heard when we were growing up. You know, what does failure look like in a world which celebrates achievement, mainly academic achievement? Sometimes, you know, when people are not achieving academically, they're considered to be failures. In our school systems, you know, you have those who come first and those who come last. You know, and if you've come last, I mean, you're almost embarrassed. And so we grow up to see failure as
an
enemy, as something that we shouldn't be doing.
Or associate ourselves with it.
Yes. And so teaching it, I think, because it's a mindset shift, it requires you to shift the way that you see failure and to see it more as an opportunity for you to learn and grow, and not as something that should hold you back. You know, for leaders, it's about learning to embrace the failure as a necessary part of the journey of growth. But I think, you know, when the question you asked reminded me of a conversation that we had in one of the earlier podcasts, which is really about authenticity and vulnerability on the part of the leader, where you don't expect leaders to be perfect, but actually you expect them to be real. And the more real that a leader is in terms of owning their mistakes and owning their failures, the more relatable you become.
True.
And which is why, you know, when you're on this journey of personal development and growth in leadership, one of the things that we're taught is when you talk about your failures more than you talk about your successes, people relate to you more, and then they're able to learn from you because they identify with you. And they actually see, oh, she failed, but she navigated the failure, and that's why she's where she is right now. And so I've failed, but as long as I navigate the failure, it can get me to where I need to be in my journey.
Benjamin Franklin said, the things which hurt instruct. What does that mean?
Yeah, and that's exactly it. You know, if it's hurting you, if it's a failure that's hurt you, it's actually come to teach you something. So the things that hurt instruct. So what does it come to teach you? And are you willing to learn the lesson? So if you were to think about a pain point in your journey right now, a pain point in any leader's journey, what does that pain point come to teach you about yourself and about the way that you're showing up? And your ability to lean into it will then allow you to take the instructions from the lesson.
Is it perspective?
Absolutely. It's perspective. It is perspective. So it's your perspective of the experience, whatever that experience might be. And that seeing it as your friend and not as something that you need to shy away from. But when you're on a journey with a friend, and your friend is somebody that you're sharing the journey with, and so when you see failure as part of the journey, then you embrace it, as opposed to not wanting to have anything to do with it.
In our concept note, you wrote, we overestimate the event and underestimate the process. Every fulfilled dream occurred because of a dedication to a process. I love this because it's, for someone who's result driven, it's always been about the end goal. You know, I've already figured out and done, I did the math and I will be here by this time. So it's all about results and goals and vision. We are forgetting about the process, which is it equally important or more important?
The process is so much more important. You know, because sometimes, again, we overestimate the event. So you go to a 3-day leadership symposium, for example, and you expect to become an excellent leader by the time you've walked out of the symposium.
Yeah, I have that mindset every time. I'm paying this much money if I'm going into this particular symposium. When I come back, I will, give me this whole entire country. I'll move it forward.
Yeah, and that's the biggest misconception, because you overestimate the event, but you don't give enough attention to the process which happens when you come back from the event. So it's everything that you've learned in that 3-day event, when you get back to your workplace, it's the application of what you've learned. That's the process, and that's where the growth really happens. Okay. Because in that setting, it's exciting because everybody's, all hyped up and there's huge energy and people are learning new things. So your love of learning is activated. It's when you get back into your life, into the grind of the everyday showing up at work, when you have to put things into action, and it's the action which is where the change then really starts to happen.
Psychologist Dr. Joyce says that the person interested in success has to learn to view failure as a healthy, inevitable part of the process of getting to the top. I do understand that everyone wants to get to the top of their career and they want to get there fast. But we've spoken about the process, and the person interested in success has to learn to view failure as a healthy thing. We've spoken about how people, their view of failure is something that they do not want to attach themselves with. Do you think that people have grown to be more accepting of it over the years? Because you deal with people on a daily basis, and I know with the work that you do, you speak with other people, and when you go out and do workshops, do you see that people are now more receptive to it, or has not changed or slightly changed over the last couple of years since you've learned this lesson?
Yeah, I think, it really depends on the audience, and it depends on, I guess, the culture of the organization. If you're taking this learning into an organization, for example, if it's an organization where the leaders embrace failure as part of the learning and as part of, where failure is encouraged, where you're testing. So it's like a cycle of success, You try something, you test it, you fail, you learn, and then you re-enter, and then you test it again. So if the culture of the organization is one that celebrates and recognizes failure as a necessary part of the growth of the business, then there's more of an acceptance with people, and their mindset is more attuned to seeing failure as a friend.
Okay.
But not everybody is at that place, and not a lot of organizations still really struggle, and individuals within organizations to embrace this concept of failure as a friend. So again, I don't want to make a generalization, but I think every time, we've spoken about this, and I think it also speaks to the initial talk that we had, and that clip that went viral, is the fact that this teaching on learning to embrace failure is still something that people are trying to wrap their heads around. So it's resonating in some sense, but people are still trying to, okay, what does that actually mean? For me to embrace failure as a friend, what does that look like for me, on a daily basis, or as a leader in my area of influence?
Okay. So this one is in our concept note. You wrote, adversity and failure that often results from it should be expected in the process of succeeding. They should be viewed as an absolute critical part of it. The benefits of adversity, and then you list down 3. There's adversity creates resilience, adversity develops maturity, adversity motivates. That's the whole gist of what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Adversity creates resilience. And in your line of work, do you see this as, have you gotten to a stage where you welcome failure? Or is it something that you still struggle with?
Yeah, and I think, it's a great question, and we talked about this, in one of the earlier podcasts, but, this whole idea of adversity, which then brings failure, and then how you respond to failure, and then what that failure actually does in terms of building resilience, and it helps mature you. So again, it comes back to the perspective that you have of the failure, which is often created by the adversity that you've been through. So I guess just going back to what it says, it should be expected. It's something that you need to expect in the process of succeeding, and it should be viewed as critical parts of it. So you can't have one without the other.
Yep.
You can't have success without learning to manage the adversity which comes into your life, and everybody encounters adversity, and then being able to embrace the failure that comes as a result of navigating whatever that adversity is, but then using that as a stepping stone to take you to where you need to get to.
Okay. On social media now, you go on TikTok, Anna, there's people who's talking about manifestation. I should manifest this, and I only attract, I do not chase. This type of mentality that people are pushing, that narrative on social media. Do you think that when we embrace failure, are we manifesting it? Or is it completely different?
That's such a good question. And it's a perspective which I think many of us carry. Many of us think that when you start talking too much about failure, you'll start manifesting failure. But I think what's important to recognize is often when you're discovering and you're becoming more aware, you're able to put a name to these things that are happening in your journey. You're able to kind of identify that it could be considered perspective again. It could be seen as a failure, but I'm actually not seeing it as a failure. I'm seeing it as a friend. So you're reframing.
Okay.
So what you're doing is you're reframing what could be seen by others to be a failure, but it's actually your friend because it's come to teach you something. So the challenge is going to come. There's no doubts about that. Everybody experiences adversity and challenges on the journey of this thing called life. But what you can do is reframe it within the context of, what has this thing come to teach me? This is actually my friend. It's come to teach me something about myself. What are you trying to say to me right now? So, and you go back to what he talks about in terms of pain. So it's the pain which then teaches you. It's come to instruct you. But it's about you recognizing, okay, this is painful. What is it telling me about me? What is it telling me about the way maybe that I haven't set up the right boundaries around myself, which could, if I do put the right boundaries in place, and this may not be happening to me.
It's funny that we're talking about perspective, because I was reading this. There was this quote that I saw on social media, and I know because it speaks to the matters of the heart. Even though we're talking about leadership, and I would like to speak about this. I don't know if I just want to get your perspective of it. There was this meme that was shared on social media just a couple of weeks ago, and it says, "What broke my heart fixed my vision." What do you think about that quote, and is it relevant in the space of leadership?
Yeah, and I think that speaks to this quote, the things which hurt actually instruct. What broke my heart
fixed my
vision.
Yeah.
Because you learned the lesson, and so you're not looking at it the same way. The way that you might have seen that situation has changed, and so your vision's changed. So that's how it's fixed your vision, because you no longer see what you saw, which got you into that, which then broke your heart.
Yeah.
And so within the context of leadership, often when you're leading people, or when you're in a position of leadership, and this happened to me on my journey of leadership, where I almost had this, this view that everybody that I was providing leadership services to actually liked me and actually supported me and actually wanted to do whatever I wanted to do. And the biggest leadership disappointment for me was when people actually didn't want to. I mean, they were okay to journey with me for a little while, but then they didn't see the value in it after that. And so the biggest lesson for me, that was painful. Yeah. But the biggest lesson for me was, okay, what was the instruction from that? And the instruction for me was the question, was I helping people because I wanted them to like me? Or was I helping people because I wanted to serve people?
How do you not hold a grudge as leaders? More often than not, failure is tagged to people that we allow into our spaces. That we think that they are for our vision, and when they end up disappointing us. And in our previous podcast, we spoke about how you should not allow your past to dictate you moving forward. And when it's tied to certain people that you think supported your vision and they don't, how do you quickly get over that so that you don't stay there, but also help guide you in a way to shift it to the next level?
Yeah, that's never easy. It's never easy for the leader because you're a human being, you know, and often I think this is a huge thing. It's like leaders want people to like you, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes that's your motivation for doing things, is because you want people to like you. But one of the things that I've learned, that if you want people to like you, you will be disappointed when they don't like you, and that will impact the way that you lead. You know, so one of the things that I had to learn very quickly is that I am helping people because I want to add value to them. Whether they like me or not, whether they will be around for me or not, should not be my worry. You know, and it comes down to motivation. Why do you do what you do? Do you want to build a fan club? Or are you doing it because you want to help people? Okay. And so when I was able to reconcile that and like look at, okay, you know what, it's okay. And if my contribution to the journey was only for a short while, then I'm glad I had a little contribution to make. Wow. And it's okay, because people outgrow leaders. And who are we to try and expect you to keep following me? I mean, who am I to expect that of you? You know, you've grown in a different direction. And so my job is to celebrate you wherever your journey takes you. And if you choose to give me a couple of months of your time, then I value that time. I do my best to invest in you. And then when you've moved on, other people will come along that I will choose to invest into, or that I can invest into. But it's not for me to create a fan club. It's for me just to continue to add value and pour into other people who come along at different times of the journey.
I've heard this time and time again. Leadership is a lonely position. Is that still true?
Leadership it can be. I think it can be quite lonely for people who separate themselves from people. You know, and it's never easy. Leadership is never easy. And I've often, you know, when I'm running leadership sessions with people, I often say to people, it amazes me that we invest so much time in technical things and people get into leadership positions because they're very good technically, but leading people requires a whole different skill set. And often we're not investing enough in helping leaders develop so that they can lead people more effectively. And so that's often where the loneliness sets in, because the leader is trying to do their best, and there's a lack of alignment with the team. There's a lack of alignment, and they carry so much in terms of their vision. There's only so much you can, proximity to people. You have to be able to create healthy boundaries, all of that. So it can be lonely, but that's where the leader needs to intentionally build their own circle of your inner circle, your mentors, your coaches. So your relationships are intentional. The people that are speaking into your life are speaking into your life because of the fruit that they show in their journeys. You know, so you're not just kind of meandering along, but you're being very intentional as the leader in terms of how you show up in different spaces and with who.
I love how this particular episode, we're talking about making failure your best friend. It personifies failure. You, from another angle or another perspective, you look at it as a person that guides you along. And it's like we mentioned, it's a shift of mindset. Does it take a lifetime for you to grasp this concept, or is it easier than people think it is?
You know, like anything in life, I think as you continue to embrace it and as you continue to learn from it, you become quicker. And I think the turnaround time is faster. You know, you're not staying there for too long. I remember one of the difficult challenges that I had in terms of my leadership journey, it took me months. And because I was wallowing in it, I was wallowing in this notion that Why don't people like me? You know, one of my fears was being criticized, and I didn't like the fact that people were criticizing me, and the mind games were going on about after all that I did, you know, so you start to play this victim mindset, you know. So it took me months to get over it and then to be able to move on. And that was the process. And I think this particular episode, we're not focusing on the event, but we're focusing on the process. So that process took quite a while for me. But now that I've been through that process, and it took me a few months, I think now when the failure happens, or when things happen, I'm a lot quicker. I've built resilience. So the adversity, which is one of the points that we mentioned in the notes, it actually creates resilience. Okay. So I've become more resilient as a leader. And I've become more accustomed to the fact that not everybody will like me, and that's okay. And not everybody will agree with me, and that's also okay. And not everybody will like what I've put my hand up to do, and that's also okay. And so just to be able to be okay with that on the journey, and that's built resilience within me as a leader.
Every fulfilled dream occurred because of a dedication to a process. We spoke about this earlier, and because you just mentioned it, I would like to go back to that statement, where dedication to the process is quite important. How do you apply yourself and get so engrossed in the process that you don't lose sight of your goal?
Yeah, that's a good one. And you know, again, one of the things I love about what Maxwell teaches is one of the things he says is that the secret to your success is discovered in your daily agenda. And he talks about the consistency of what you're doing in the process, which gets you to where you need to get to. And sometimes if your focus is on the growth and not the goal, you will reach the goal without even realizing it.
Wow, that's a life hack right there.
You know?
Say that again?
If you're focused on the growth that you're pursuing, as opposed to staying so fixated on the goal, you know, you'll reach the goal without even realizing it. Because the growth has been the process. And so you're not fixated on the end result, but you're fixated on being diligent with what you're doing every day. That then the result comes, which is the goal, and you're like surprised. Wow. Because you're focused on the growth and not the goal.
When we're talking about vision, so we've got everything set out for us. We've calculated everything. Has there ever been an instance where you're focused on the process and the growth, that you've realized that your vision has changed, and because of the perception or the perspective that you got from focusing on the process?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's part of the journey, you know, like my journey, as I started on this journey, my vision has always been to be able to add value to leaders. That's always been the vision. My intention has always been, how can I add value to leaders so that they can, you know, multiply value to others? It's the vision of the Maxwell team that I also carry within me. And so what that looks like, how the vision shows up, is through different ways. So I used to do facilitated masterminds, for example, 12 weeks of just individuals coming in, and we're digging out one of the Maxwell books and we're kind of masterminding it together, unpacking the chapters, learning the lessons and growing. That was one way in which I did it in a certain season. And then I moved to coaching, which was another way of doing things in the season. And then I started to take on organizations. So we ran, you know, a 12-month leadership development program with ANZ, you know, working with their leaders from around 6 countries around the Pacific. So it evolved into that. And then we've just recently taken on some work with FNU, working with their senior executives and helping develop their senior executives around a few key things: emotional intelligence, you know, strategic thinking and execution and all of that. So has it changed? The way in which we're delivering the vision is changing, but the vision continues to stay the same. But it's the mechanisms in which the vision is being delivered which is shifted over time. So the mechanisms are through coaching, one-on-one, executive coaching. We're now doing a leadership symposium, which we started doing, two years ago. We've got another one coming up. But the vision stays the same. It's the way in which it's delivered as a result of my consistency and my ongoing growth, the process, the end mechanisms, the way that we're passing it on to people is changing. So, has the vision changed? I don't think so.
Okay. What about for those people what do you say to them when they realize that this no longer serves me? I think this vision that I've got for myself is not really what I would want to do now. Do they still hold on to that vision, or do you think that they should be flexible enough to say, I'm moving in a different direction and I should be okay with it?
So each individual knows their own journey.
Okay.
And each individual knows what suits them at each time of their journey, And one of the things I love about the journey is that your journey is going to be different to mine, and that's okay. And one of the things I love about having mentors is, even listening to John Maxwell teach about mentors. He's had mentors when he started the journey that he outgrew them. Because they stopped growing, but he was still growing. Yeah. So he then had to move in to other people who were growing at the level that he was growing at. So that applies to me on the journey, but it will also apply to other people because they grow in different directions. And the people that speak into their journey is maybe not me, but they're getting that support from somewhere else because of the way that their journey has evolved.
The episode topic for today is making failure your best friend. For those that are watching this episode for the first time, or watching this podcast for the first time and hearing our conversation today, what is the main message you would want them to walk away with?
I'd love them to walk away with this idea that failures come to serve you. So embrace the failure. Ask it, what does it come to teach you about yourself? Embrace it as your friend. Have the conversation, confront the failure, and learn from the failure. And ask it, what does it come to teach you? And then learn that lesson and move on. And when your friend shows up again, ask them the same questions. So just keep asking questions and keep learning and keep growing so that you can discover the fullness of the potential that you carry.
We've spoken about failures in these 4 episodes. We're on the 4th one right now, and we're looking forward to the symposium that's going to be happening in the next couple of weeks. For those that are still on the fence about coming to the symposium, what do you say to them?
I'd say to them, come. The event is where you get fire. It's where you're in a room with like-minded people who are all growing and who are all committed to the journey. And that's where the excitement, comes from. But the process is where the growth happens. So, but it's often when you're in a room and in an event where you're inspired to continue to then go and invest yourself in the process. So I would encourage people, come to the event, get inspired, draw from like-minded people, and then go back and do the work to take you to your next level.
That is going to be from February 23rd to the 25th at Sofitel. Where can people get their tickets?
So tickets are available on Ticketmax. And those of you who are watching the podcast, there's going to be a link that will take you to where you can buy your tickets from, or send us an email. And the email details will all be, at the podcast as we're delivering it right now. And so send us an email and we'd be happy to send you more information.
Your last message to those that are watching this podcast before we wrap this one up and looking forward to the 5th episode that is going to be happening next week.
Yeah, my message would really be that you carry a seed in you which needs to grow. And often that growth comes from embracing failure. So, you know, a seed, it needs to emerge, and it emerges from the elements. The elements are often what then helps the seed to grow. And so the elements are the failures that you encounter in your journey. But as you learn to embrace it, that's what will help you flourish. So the message is embrace the elements as they come battering down. Life hits you, learn the lessons from it, embrace the failure as something that's come to teach you, and then move forward into becoming the best version of yourself.
I'm looking forward to the next episode where we're going to be talking about a lot more in-depth hacks, life hacks, and also some golden nuggets about leadership. And I'm looking forward to our next Leaders Lead podcast presented by Sol.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm also looking forward to the next one.
For sure.
Thank you.